Hello, viewers. Welcome to the 8th edition of Solution Illuminator series. I'm with my guest, Mr. Olusoji Oyawoye. Mr. Olusoji Oyawoye is a graduate of economics who also holds a postgraduate diploma and a master's degree in business management. His career spans 35 years, with 19 spent in banking and most recent 16 years as a social entrepreneur. An MD CEO of Resource Intermediaries Limited, which he co-founded in 2006. Mr. Olusoji Oyawoye is also an associate certified outsourcing professional, a fellow of the Association of Outsourcing Professionals of Nigeria, a member of the Institute of Directors of Nigeria, and a non-executive director in 2 other companies and a company called a microfinance bank. Outside professional pursuit, he is a conference speaker, a certified member of John Maxwell team, and a certified Maxwell disc behavioral analysis specialist. He has authored 7 books on relationships, entrepreneurship, personal branding, finding one's purpose in life, and leadership. He's married to Mrs. Olabisi Oyawoye, and they have 2 wonderful children, which are millennials. Please help me welcome Mr. Olusoji Oyawoye. And please welcome. You want to say something?
Yes, just to appreciate you, Dr. Tululeke Famoyiwa. Where I am, it's a good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. So simply good day wherever you're joining or watching this from. Thank you for the privileged invitation.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. These are the things that I know we have in common. We are both members of John Maxwell team members. We are both interested in social entrepreneurship. And you've been doing this for 16 years. I'm still like a small baby in this area. And we're also both affiliated with Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria. You actually have an organization there called The Bunker.
Correct.
I grew up in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria, where I actually completed my elementary and high school. Another thing we have in common is that we are both married with kids, and we are both authors. I also authored a book called Stay in Your Lane. And if anybody have actually read my book, you know why this conversation is very important. And that leads us to why we're here today. We're here to talk about gift profitability. A discussion that many people will say, maybe it's not that important because all we care now is just making some money so that we can put food on the table. But then we've seen people who have the 9-to-5 job and they're not so happy with themselves and the things that they're doing. Therefore, it's good to have this kind of conversation just to see if maybe somebody can actually be motivated to just step out of their comfort zone and do something that can make them more happy and fulfilled, right? So I'm going to give you the opportunity to just tell us what does this mean, gift profitability?
Thank you again, Dr. Famoyiwa, for this privileged invitation. I'm of the strong belief that no one is on earth by accident. We're on earth for a purpose. And that purpose, interestingly, it's never about us. It's a selfless purpose. It's all about God. I'm a person of faith. So you need to have that understanding to truly appreciate and understand what this session is about. Now, the person for which or who we're here on earth has put us here for a purpose. And the sooner one finds a purpose, the better. because you can't be truly fulfilled or successful or happy until you found that purpose. And the way that purpose is exercised is through the gift or giftings that is unique to each individual. The challenge, or most of the time, is we tend to desire the gift or gifting of somebody else rather than find what ours is. I worked in the banking industry for 19 years until 2006, and I actually rose to a general manager position, which is just 2 levels beneath being the managing director of a financial institution. So I rose to the peak of my career, but I was never happy or fulfilled until I discovered my purpose, one of my giftings, which basically is to enhance people's capacities and to show them that you can aspire and live a fulfilled life. But that starts when you find your purpose. It's what actually led me to write my 5th book, What Is That in Your Hands? A Discovery of Purpose. So we all have gifts. The challenge is some have 1, some have 2, some have 5. But guess what? The fulfillment, once we find it, for the person who has only 1 gift, it's exactly the same as that has 4 or 5. So, and I believe in the course of this program, I would be able to share with whoever may have that challenge in either discovering or reaffirming the gifts that they're endowed with. So I left banking after 19 years when I found out that this is not it. The pay was fantastic. The benefits were great. And for 16 years, I've been following my purpose. I'm sure it's part of why Dr. Famuyiwa must have stumbled on me somewhere and invited me to be here. He had seen the exercise of my gifts and my giftings, which is manifested in the entrepreneurial space and in the leadership space with visible, physical, measurable results to prove. So I'm not as financially rich, I'm comfortable, but I don't have enough financial resources as I would have had if I had stayed in the banking industry. But I'm a lot more fulfilled. I'm a lot more impactful. And I mean, I'll be 58 years old in about 2 months' time. But if I was to tell you I'm in my 30s or 40s, you won't argue. That comes from finding your gifting and living on purpose.
Wow, this is really great. This is really great. Thank you so much. You said something just now that was very interesting to me as a person. You said everyone has a gift. Some people have 1, some people have 5, some people have 10. And my question is this: for people who are still just frustrated and they're still saying that, well, I don't have any gift. That's why my life is like this. What do you say to this kind of people?
Everybody, let me give examples of what gifts are, because that may be the challenge.
Yes.
It is. It could be a voice. You open your mouth and you sing, and people are like, wow, that's a gift. It could be your gifted hands. You're creative. You could paint, draw, or mold. That is a gift. It could be education. You're extremely brilliant. I mean, those that do the rockets and things like that, they're not. I mean, I'm a third class graduate, by the way. So it's not my gifting. Education is not one of my own giftings, but it is somebody's gifting. And I don't need to envy them.
Yes.
For some, their gift is riches. Anything they touch just multiplies. So I shouldn't envy them. For some, it is wealth, which is different from riches. For some, it is health. It's a gift. For some, it's wisdom. For some, it's beauty. For some, it's administration. For some, it's hospitality. For some, it's influence. So the thing is to find what yours is, and there's a process that can help you determine it. But everybody has a gift. It's like a fish trying to climb a tree. that fish will never succeed. And the fish will blame society and blame everybody else. Because a fish's gifting is in the water. So drop that fish in water. So a lot of us are fishes trying to climb trees. And we blame everybody else. But just to recognize that you are a fish. You're only to thrive in water.
Yes, that's very true. Which is so many things coming to my mind now because I've done some research about you already. You talk about environment just now, moving from the water environment to tree and things like that. And I want to connect it to the fact that you have a space that is called the bunker, which you bring people together and try to do the great things that you do. So based on what you do at the bunker, how would you say that the environment will affect the possibility of achieving a profitable gift?
First, once you identify your gift, the resources to manifest and execute those gifts are always available. So rather than worry about the environment, for me, for example, one of my gifts is I have people skills as a gift.
Yes.
I'm able to inspire people in a way that I'm able to communicate a vision in a way that people buy into it and they own it as if it was originally theirs. That's a gift.
Yes.
So most of what I create, including the bunker, I mean, we have in 6 locations currently. I can't be in 6 places.
That's great.
So, but my gift of inspiration and communicating the vision, the managers of those facilities own it, and you would think they are shareholders, part owners, but they're employees. So that's a gift. Now, the resource to make it happen, regardless of the environment. In fact, when we were coming to Abeokuta, which was our 5th facility, many people were like, Abeokuta, who will pay for it? It's not for such a place. But I'm there. I've been there since January, and it's doing well. When I was going to Ibadan, the same thing, that the Ibadan people, I mean, I'm right in the bunker Ibadan, you know. So the thing is, because I'm operating in my gifting, those limitations don't exist. So if you are doing whatever it is and it does not seem to be working, before you worry about the environment and the resources, you need to ask yourself, is this really what I should be doing? Because if it is, that's why I said we're here not by chance. You're here for a purpose. And the one that put you here, as he sends, he provides the resources. Some of the resources are the people that will help you do it. If it's money you need, he provides the people that have the money that you don't have. If it's brains, he provides people with the brains. If it's administration that you don't have, if it's good English you can't speak, if it's accounting you don't have, he will provide the accountant. But you must be operating in your gift. But maybe I should quickly add this, please. Like I said, I worked for 19 years. Yes. So except you are born with silver spoons, you know, except you are born into wealth, almost everybody first goes through a career path of just find a job. Anything you find, just do it. Except you are born with a silver spoon. We were not even born with any spoon, not to talk of wooden spoon.
That's good. So you said something just now. I was reading your report on LinkedIn about your experience at Abeokuta and Ibadan. And I saw that, just to support what you just said, the rating, if I'm correct, if the figures are right, you can correct me. The rating at Abeokuta was about 98%, and the one at Ibadan was like 100%, which supports environment also. So I know what you're talking about. Coming from Abeokuta, I know environment has some impact. I mean, moving from Nigeria Now in America, I mean, I have something to say about the environment, so I know what you're talking about right there.
Right.
Another thing you also said just now that I want to follow up on is the fact that you said that you are convinced that this is your gift, people skills and things like that, is because you've been able to see a measurable and tangible results. And for people who are doing something and say, well, this is what I'm doing for some time, and I'm not sure whether I should continue doing it. And what is the mark? What is the sign or indication that this is their gift? Because I mean, let's be sincere. We're always gonna have to be open-minded to try things, and after some time, you're trying something. You have to be convinced that this is what you're supposed to do. That's the reason to keep doing it. All right. So, for you, what are the marks? What are the signs that made you see that? Well, I think this is what I should be doing.
I'll say three things to guide such an individual. First is we must all be intentional in who we hang out with, the companies we hang out with. John Maxwell calls it the average of 5, because we all ultimately are the average of the 5 people closest to us or that we hang out with most, because we eventually begin to imbibe their thinking, their life views, and their frustrations or their ambitions and successes. So a lot of us grew up with all kinds of environments that may be negative, but we don't recognize when intentionally we need to begin to drop them. They may have played some useful roles in our lives at some point, but they finished that role. We need to let go and begin to be intentional in connecting with people with positive mindsets, right? That begins to then channel you right. That's the first thing. Second thing is there's an acronym created by Pastor Charles Achonwa that I love in helping you try to see, is this my gift or not? It's an acronym that simply spells BOATS, 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 BOATS. That acronym helps you refine your purpose or your gifts or to find it. And the B stands for burden, BURDEN. What is that thing or process or venture or activity that you have a burden or a passion for? Something impressed on you by God. What is it that you have a burden for? In a lot of instances, your gift, ties into there. I just came through Abeokuta and I went to eat while going some local spot. And of that, my gifting. I just saw that this young man, his food is so nice. His online visibility in Instagram is fantastic. But his environment, can be better. Now, because of my gift, I have a burden for what I saw. So rather than be discouraged by the environment and buying food from there, I've just launched an appeal online to raise money to renovate that space for him. So that is my gift, because I have a burden for somebody like that. So some have a burden for widows. Some have a burden to take people to the moon. Some have a burden to build businesses. So what do you have a burden for? A lot of times your gifting is around there. The O is opportunity. What are the opportunities that you are uniquely exposed to currently or from your past? So is it the schools you went? Is it the family you come from? What are the opportunities? Is it where you fellowship, where you worship? The opportunities that are unique to you as it is. We're both members of the John Maxwell team. There's some opportunities that we get just by being there as it is. The A, ability. What are those abilities or giftings that you are endowed with? Those things that you do effortlessly so well. I'm a man, obviously, but if I'm walking on the garden on the road and people are playing football and the ball strays towards my path, I never attempt to kick it back to them because I have no such skills at all. I will fall down in that. I have no ability for that. And I won't try. You understand? So what are your natural abilities? Well, if you ask me to speak like we're doing now to share my story, and all. I could speak for 5 hours and nobody will fall asleep because those are my natural abilities. So what are yours? Trials. Trials.
Mm.
What are the trials or the struggles that you have gone through or that you are going through? Guess what? A lot of giftings are tied to trials.
Mhm.
But as they begin to happen, we say it's the devil. A lot of times, you need to go through those trials and tribulations so that your gifts can materialize. And
Wow.
S, satisfaction. What are the things that give you greatest fulfillment or joy that you don't even need to be paid for it? I mean, typically, I know what I would ask to be paid to be on a show like this, but I didn't ask for it for two reasons. I mean, this is a platform that I'll be speaking at for the first time. So I get satisfaction in enhancing people's capacities. So it speaks to my gift. So by the
Mm.
time you walk through BOATS boats, you will find your gift. You may have been exhibiting it, but you didn't know it was a gift because
Mm.
it didn't look uh, uh, it didn't look glamorous.
Girl, shining and really
Exactly. So you're like,
attractive.
this can be a gift.
Mhm.
But that is it. I get paid to speak now. And sometimes in a month, I earn more than my salary from my 9 to 5 just from speaking. Because I recognize, because in those your gifts, three things are tied to your gifts. Your identity is tied to your
Mhm.
gift. Your income stream, that money you are looking for, is
Mhm.
tied to your gift. The influence that you will exercise on this world is tied to your gifts.
Wow, this is a lot. I think these are things that we should write down and just place it on the wall so that when you wake up after praying, that's the first thing that we're supposed to read. There are a few things that just came to my mind just now when you were talking. One of the things that I find very interesting in the book, in your books, the two of them that I've read, is the fact that we have relationships, we have people we interact with, and the concept in the book is saying that these people are not some people are not supposed to be with us for the whole lifetime. Some people, when they come in, they do what they're supposed to do, and they have to go. We have to let them go,
Yeah,
such that, and it hurts sometimes because somebody that you've been close to, you discover that you guys are not close anymore, or you just don't have anything to talk about anymore, and it feels like arrogance. Like I was listening to Trevor Noah's post. I love Trevor Noah so much, and
I do
somebody,
that.
yeah, and a fellow comedian was saying that it's arrogant. That's a, like, you see, things like that, and that's just give an example as to why it's true that some people, if they are not family members, like it was stated in the book, of course, if you're married, you cannot just say, well, now I have a lot of money. You have to let your spouse go. That's not part of what we're talking about. But we're talking about every other relationships. So my question is, how do you make sure you can do that without causing much or extra problem, letting people go, or if somebody's letting you go, because it could be either way. If somebody say,
Absolutely.
well, my level is so high now, the things that I do, you're probably not interested in what I do anymore. It just feels, I think there's an emotional background around that, there should be a skill as to how to do that without too much problems, so to say.
Absolutely. And all of this again is tied to your gifting and your purpose. Because once you found your gifting, the reality is it becomes you become more focused. And when you are focused, you're actually blind to everything else but one objective. That's really meaning of focus. You are blind. You're looking straight through the side of your eyes. You can see, you can perceive, but you are blind to them. You're just concentrated and focused. So that is what motivates you to first be intentional in making that journey. It's like a rocket that is going to space. If you notice, it has the biggest component of that rocket while it's still on Earth that is required to take it out of Earth's space. But once it gets into outer space, that same thing that propelled it that high becomes a burden. If it does not drop it and detach, it can't go further.
Wow.
So that's the reality why you have to let go of the emotions. However, what you do from my own people's skills is for as many of them as possible that are also desirous to grow with you. Because in reality, the true definition of success is how many people have you taken along with you. That's the real definition of success. Not that you've become so successful and you are just there alone. Nobody can say if it was not because of Dr. Famuyiwa, I would not have aspired. I would not. Then you are not successful, right? So you must be intentional in helping as many people as possible in discovering their own gifts, not necessarily following me on my own gifts, because their own gifts will be different from my own gifts. So it's not to make them like me, which unfortunately is what happens. I mean, I'm a Christian, is what happens in a lot of churches. And before you know it, everybody wants to be like the pastor, regardless of their own individual gifts. And there's that spiritual blackmail that just keeps everybody. With some even the hairstyle they begin to carry is the pastor's hairstyle. I mean, it's just foolishness. So your giftings differ. So what you want to do is you're helping them. I've had one or two of my staff in the organization. I've coached them to resign and go and pursue what I found out is what they should be doing. And the first person I did it to, she was earning Naira times then about 250,000 Naira when the average wage bill was about 30, 40,000. So she was upset. And I noticed she has fashion skills, right? So she makes lovely dresses for ladies and the likes and beautiful designs. And she was making good money. I said, look, it's better to be entrepreneurial with these skills that you have. This is about 12 years ago. And she wouldn't listen to me. So after about 1 year, I told her in 6 months' time, if you're not out of here, I'm going to exit you from this company. She couldn't understand why. She finally did it the last month of the time frame I gave her, and I meant it. Guess what? Within 3 months of her resigning to start the business, she won 2 fashion awards in Nigeria. By a year after, she was featured on CNN. She's in America now. You know, Elizabeth Waldorf, that's the name of the company. You know, I don't see anything that you can't go and Google and find out. Right. Ladies Jane Ole. And of course, she's so appreciative that I pushed her in that direction, and they feel like that. So that's what you do. Now, those you want to guide to find their gift and refuse to follow it, oh, you cut them off. No, you're not Jesus, you're not God. I'm Olusoji Oyawoye. I'm not for everybody. He's the one that is here for everybody's problem.
Wow.
So you want to be, including family. I've done this to family where you need to cut off, not cut off because you have moved on, but because they burden, they drag you down. You can't fulfill your own purpose. And you have limited time. How many more years do you have on earth anyway?
Yes. Wow. Wow. I mean, just as a follow-up to that, from your previous answer, you made mention that when people want to discover their gift, they should think about the satisfaction. And one of the things that prevent people from actually making a decision is because what they are going into is not that attractive. Because, I mean, looking at the celebrity world now, there's certain profession that certain people want to be around. And if you're not doing certain things in code, people don't consider you as a cool person. And eventually, they just be looking at you and see what you make out of these. And if you don't come up with something tangible, at the end of the day, it feels like it could be a waste of time. So my question is, how can somebody who, for example, the tailoring situation you just talked about, there are people who are trying to who discover that they like doing something that is not probably so fashionable or so acceptable in the society. For example, I was watching the Niger Spirit show, the Niger Spirit Talent Hunt, and I discovered that some Nigerians are actually into tricks, magics. So for somebody to come out and say, "Well, my gift is actually doing tricks," and I'm even like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to be associated with you because that's kind of like a gray area." And that's just an example. So my question is this: for people who probably discover they like doing something or they think something is their gift that is not so celebrated in the society, what is the motivation for them?
Uh, I'm also a life coach and a business coach. And I've found through that part, of course, enabled by John Maxwell, the Maxwell team, I've found out that every one of us should seek to be coached and or mentored. A mentor also does coaching, but a coach is not a mentor. They're two different things, but that's a topic for another day. And this is because uh, those kind of struggles or challenges that you've just enumerated are things that your mentor or coach would either have gone through or would have access to who has gone through them in the career path you want to pursue. And then they'll be able to guide you. Because what happens in a lot of instances is people just want to try without being apprenticed.
Wow.
And it's a longer journey. When we say experience is the best teacher, that was the saying when we were growing up. But it's a fool that says that today. The best teacher is somebody else's experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I went
mm-hmm.
to go through an experience to learn. I'm a foolish man. When Google is there, when there are mentors and coaches out there, as it is. So, but then a lot of people struggled with that identity, the self-discovery. So again, once it's to your gifts, it's not about what people say or what they think or how popular or acceptable the thing is. If it is a gift, right? And we see it all over the place. We see in the arts and creative space, and a lot of millennials and Gen Zs, they just launch out in things that ordinarily people would wonder, how can somebody be making money out of this? But that young man, that young woman proves that point. But you need a mentor or a coach to guide you through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those things that everybody celebrates, usually, it's like a triangle. They're usually things that are at the base. And like a triangle is, it's wider at the base. But the real fulfillment and success happens the higher you go, when only few people get up there. And it's
Yeah,
difficult to get up there without being mentored or coached by somebody. Unfortunately, sometimes, if not a lot of times, those coaching and mentoring won't come free. It will cost you
yes,
money, it will cost you time.
that's true. That's true. And most people don't want to spend. That's the truth. Just to support what you just said just now, yesterday I was still listening to the Great Leadership Conference, and I think I listened to the session from Reverend Sam Adeyemi. And one
Right.
of the things he said is, that, of course, experience is the best teacher. If it's not your experience,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, because
Exactly.
you have to learn from other people's experience. If you have to fall down yourself every time, then you're gonna have more scars than what you should have
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things you also said today that I found very interesting is you tied the fact that somebody needs to know their identity, income, and influence to gift.
Yeah.
All right. But I also wonder if it works the other way around also, such as the reason why you're eventually able to discover your gift is the fact that you consider your identity, your income, and influence. Or it's just, you have to go from gift to those three. Can you go the other direction also?
You can find your identity, and your identity actually ties to your gift. For example, um, I'm a life coach.
Yes.
I'm a social entrepreneur. That's my identity. And almost everything I push out there is either about leadership, or that's people management, or social entrepreneurship. Everything I put out. So that's my identity. Now, so my influence. So it means I'm able to influence anybody who is in that space of leadership or entrepreneurship, or who is desiring to be in that space, especially when they see the physical results that I have working with my team and my people have delivered. So my identity then delivers the influence I have. And that influence is monetized. So I get invited to speak, to teach, to coach. So if I'm a cattle rearer,
Yes.
that's my identity. I'm a farmer. My influence, I have influence over anybody that buys farm produce. Because if I say I'm not selling, they're in trouble.
Yes.
Then my income is tied to the quantity and quality of what I produce from my farm. So if I'm a footballer, Ronaldo, Messi, that's their identity. Their influence is to every football lover, isn't it? You
Yes.
buy a t-shirt and you put Ronaldo behind it. Your name is not Ronaldo, but you pay 60 pounds, $100 for that item. The Ronaldo, his identity, his income, he gets a commission from that.
From that.
So whatever profession you are in, you're a musician, Davido or whoever, that's your identity. Who do you influence? He's just moved to encourage some youth to vote for his uncle in an election. So he has influence. It came from his identity. And his income, so your income, so a lot of things we struggle with. Just find your identity. Find your gifts. Your income is there. Your influence is there in that same
Wow.
gift.
Wow. This is really good. So the next question that I have is, I saw in one of your posts you posted and you said that for a business person, I'm just paraphrasing now, the most important thing is not the fact that you know, but you're willing to know more. And under that context, that suggests reading and going for information. And I've heard in the past, I don't know whether it's still true, that they say that if you want to keep something from a Black person, put it in a book because they're not going to see it. So my question is this: what are the avenues to keep learning and keep, because it feels like you have to keep knowing more. You cannot just stay where you are. So what are your suggestions and advice on that?
Thank you very much, Dr. Famuyiwa. There's a principle, one of the laws John Maxwell propagates is called the law of the lead. So I can't put in this mug that I'm holding anything that goes beyond the rim. It will spill over. It's called the law of the lead. So if this is all I know that has moved my business from maybe 2 locations to 5 locations, for me to go to 10 and 20 locations, I need a bigger container. So I need to acquire more. Otherwise, if I'm trying to use this same knowledge, that business can't go beyond what I know. So that's why you need to consistently, then the book thing about reading is a fact, but a lot of people misconceive the learning that is critical to personal development and growth to only books.
Yes.
What is required is wide knowledge, because you can be watching a football match and you get critical learning that your business needs from just watching a football match. You can be watching chickens just running on the road, and there's some inspiration that comes from just watching chickens. So the book knowledge is fantastic, but that is just a little bit of the knowledge that is required. I am in Ibadan because I needed to run a free program for entrepreneurs on how to thrive in this environment. Same thing I did in Abeokuta. Guess what? It is free. You'll be lucky to find 30 people register. Then on the day of the event, maybe 10 will turn up. It's free. Now, if you were to call me to coach you for 1 hour, I will charge $300.
Yes.
Then I spend 2 hours, $600 for free, and yet they don't show up.
Yeah.
Now, those that show up, if you watch them in another year, another 2 years, they've expanded the container. Their lives, their businesses expand. Then somebody else sees them and starts the nonsense talk that they must have done something. No, they're investing in knowledge. So I'm constantly doing that. Again, you would have heard they say leaders are readers.
Yes.
And I hope you won't ask me that question, because sometimes people ask me, so how many books have you read this month? I haven't read a full book in 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So don't put yourself in those straight jackets and say because they say leaders are readers, you are buying 10 books to read. You are you, the way you get information. So I could pick a book. By the time I read the chapters, the content, I read 2 or 3 chapters that I need for where I am in my stage of life. I finished the book.
Yeah.
I hardly read any book cover to cover, but I'm a leader.
Yeah.
The one that wants to read 7 books a week, oh, fine. But don't define yourself by somebody else's. You're on different lanes.
Wow, this has been a very interesting conversation that I hope our viewers are learning from. I'm learning really. There are certain things I'm going to write down and just paste on my wall so I can see every day. So that, I mean, these are things that should guide the decisions that we make, how we spend our time, especially when we know that nobody's going to live forever. I mean, we've not seen anybody, however young you are, you can't live forever. At some point, you're going to have to go. So that means that we have limited time and we have to make the best use of the time that we have. And my next question is on leadership. You just talked about the fact that we all need to be conscious of the things that we do, but then which aspect of this getting ready to make a gift profitable has to do with leadership, and what type of leadership are we talking about here?
First, I'm an advocate of what John Maxwell defines as the 5 levels of leadership. And as he propounded, which I can relate with, 70% of leaders at the lowest level. They lead based on titles and positions that they possess or have acquired. That's the basis of their leadership. That is not leadership. So the leadership that will deliver what you have, you're asking for, starts from the second level, which is a leadership that invests in inspiring others through relationships built. The leadership that invests in others so that they can be better. Because as you proceed in that direction, what begins to happen is you begin to build around you the knowledge you may not have been able to acquire, or the experience you may not have been able to acquire. The leaders you are building around you come with those gifts. So you are no longer working with just your own 1 or 3 gifts. Then you have access to 2, 5, 10 people's own 3. So you have 20 gifts available to you or to your business because of that selfless understanding. Dr. Famuyiwa, my worldview is that we're like delivery boys and girls on earth. They're just delivery agents, God's delivery agents. So somebody has placed an order like Amazon or what have you, and you are the delivery person to give to that. That's my worldview. That's why we are here on earth. But the society has turned it around. It's always about what is in it for me. And any group or organization or individual that has that agency problem as to it is about me, they may look like they are succeeding, but that's usually because you are not really following them close enough to see what the failures are around them, or you are not there to see when they have dropped off the cliff. And you knew them when they were, I mean, growing up and what have you, we all had classmates that their parents, they had cars coming to school. They were so comfortable. Now they don't even have bicycle. That's the reality of life. So that thing we say, they are successful, they are doing well. It's relative if you really follow through. But the leadership that you are defining, what happens is, I can't remember who made that statement. To get all of what you want, help as many people as possible get what they want. What's that his name now? So to get all that you are looking for, to get it, just help as many people as possible to get what they want. As you do that, don't worry. Everything you want will be done. You may not have the money, but there'll be people that once they hear, or without even hearing, they make things happen for you without you even spending money or resources. That's been my own life story so far. I mean, like I said, I come from relatively humble background, no silver spoon, no wooden spoon, but God has been faithful.
Wow. This is really interesting. Very interesting conversation we're having here. You just made mention of something which just went back to my memory and something I've done in the past. You talked about 5 levels of leadership, right? And we also just talked about the fact that the society have actually made us believe something in such a way that it's almost like it's upside down.
Absolutely.
And one of my experience with that was when I was reading a post. You might have seen this on my Instagram page. I'm not sure. So it was politics in Nigeria. I mean, we're not talking about auditing. I was just election, and I think it was the famous Mr. Dele Momodu that posted that. Well, you know what? I think the post was suggesting that in order for you to be a leader, you have to be in politics. And it was early in the morning, and because of everything I know, I've read, I know about 5 levels of leadership. I had to just respectfully say that, well, me as a person, I don't agree to that because this is what I know, and this is my mentor, John Maxwell. I couldn't take off my eyes because I was like, no, because this is how people just have certain belief system whereby it feels like everybody's not thinking the way they're supposed to think, basically. So I was like, no, I think part of the things that I have decided to do at some point now is to just respectfully talk to people and say that, well, in this kind of situation, this is the way, this is what I feel. And I think it's not everybody that is there yet. A lot of people are still like, well, if whatever you're doing is not affecting me, if whatever you're saying is not, if whatever you're saying is not affecting me, if whatever you're saying is not doing anything against me,
recording stopped.
I'm not bothered. That kind of situation. If you're saying that, you're doing that, I'm not bothered. But then I have learned that, like my mom will always say, if you keep watching somebody do something bad, if you keep watching and if you keep watching something going on and you're not saying something, that thing might always come back to you at some point. And I've seen that happen. So that's why, like, I made that decision to always say, well, whenever I have the opportunity to educate and say something, I'm always going to say something.
Absolutely, and I concur and agree with you. And one of the benefits of aging gracefully, I say with pride now, I'm closer to 60 now than 50 as it is. You sort of begin to earn the right to say what you want to say without wondering who feels good or who feels offended. So what you did is exactly that kind of thing. And guess what? There are many people who share that same view that you hold, but do not have the courage to say it. And
That's
it's not the popular thing to say or do. So life increasingly, especially as one is given that privilege of aging, is to begin to own your truth. It's not a popularity
yeah,
thing. In fact, you begin to enjoy your being you more and more, the more of life God allows one to be, and to just make those statements, especially when it's being made by leaders in quotes who begin to compromise the true values of society. So it's always nice to have people say and do what you exhibited in that situation.
yeah, yeah. So the next, we're wrapping up. It's almost time. I know you're a very busy person, and I have to release you as soon as I can. The next aspect we want to talk about, which is something that is really big here in America, the healthcare system. There's insurance, and I don't remember we having something like a really serious structure for insurance in Nigeria. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe things have changed, but then it feels like part of being able to do something very well. We say health is wealth. If you don't have good health
Yeah.
and things like that. So the question that I am having now is to how can we actually find a balance? Because I mean, we're talking about working hard. Like this is Saturday. Some people are enjoying doing something, and we're having this conversation. But then we also have to take some time out to do whatever we have to do. My question is, how have you, as a person, been able to find a balance between everything that you're doing? You're in a battle, right? You've been in Abeokuta cover this, but then you still have to. You look so good for your age. You told us your age and things like that. So, as a person, how have you been able to balance everything, making sure that your health is in good position to do everything that you do?
Thank you very much, Dr. Famuyiwa. I have a few habits that I've tried to incorporate through the years to keep that going. Uh, One first is to train myself to have a grateful heart, to just be thankful for whatever I have. Yes, it's scriptural, in all things give thanks, but I try to put it into practice. And that has come from the fact that I try not to let worry or any negative energy thrive around me. Because a lot of what triggers the health issues are those negative energies and emotions that one allows to dwell, including people, negative people. So as things are in my environment, in my country, Nigeria, if I'm around people who are propagating and making those posts or statements, this country is finished, nothing good can come out of it, I block them or avoid them. You know, because it's everything starts from your thinking first, and your thinking is influenced by what you feed your mind with. So what they are saying are facts, but facts change, and the fact is not the truth. So I look for the opportunities. So that is one way I try to manage my health. Second is, thank God I'm privileged enough to be able to afford the health services because I've built a business that can take care of my health as it is. So that's not for the generality of people like getting. And yes, we have health insurance, by the way, but then the average person cannot afford to pay the premiums for the health insurance. So my advocacy usually is to business owners to claw back part of their profits to ensure their staff have those good medical cover. I have currently about 12,000 staff in Nigeria and
Right.
about 2,700 staff in Ghana. And with health, in fact, it's a priority. We don't joke with things like that. But I'm just one company as it is. It's not about the profit for us. It's about their well-being. So for me, I take medical checkup now every quarter, because I, based on my age and certain health issues that I've had to be dealing with. I mean, I'm on six tablets every day in the last 17 years. You know,
Wow.
you may have noticed while this program was going on, there was a time I put something in my mouth. That's my as it is. So yes, I play, I look young and all of that, but I try to keep worry away from me,
Yeah.
avoid negative energy people. Then I make sure I get my regular medical checkups where they can then tweak whatever they need to do. Then I have fun when I need to. I don't allow anybody put me in that box that you are old, you are this. When I want to play, I play. I, when it's time to work, I work, and I never confuse the two of them as it is. So for me, it's faith, spiritual, my physical well-being, then my emotional well-being, and I consistently look for ways to invest in other people. And
Hmm.
the best tonic that I get, the fulfillment you get that money can't buy, when you see your interventions are helping other people also find their purpose, their gifts, and use them. So that's my advice to everyone. Just try to be selfless,
Hmm.
which is what society preaches.
Wow. Thank you so much for that answer. You just said something that I just want to follow up on just now. I mean, you've been intentional about this. That's
Right.
why for the healthcare system or for your health, you can afford certain things, right? For people who probably don't know about these things, like we are talking about it now, and they're elderly people. They didn't have the information at the right time. They didn't know that there's something that they could have done, not doing the common 9 to 5 job, and they're like, well, I can't even afford this at this time. And they're like, oh, now I have this information. What do I do? I'm elderly.
Mm.
And how do you encourage such people that to still, well, it's not over. You can still find something that you're really good at, even though you're probably not going to live the same number of years you've lived already because of life expectancy for both men and women. And how do you talk to such people and say, well, there's still something you can still make a change and things like that.
Uh, Part of what I would counsel such a person first is some of these struggles we're having again are coming from our leadership failures. But I'm of the school of thought that I find it sometimes difficult to stay on the blame game of
Mm,
leadership because what I usually advocate is those who have the capacity and the means. You don't try to change all of Nigeria, but can you just focus on your sphere of influence, your own
mhm,
community, and do the bits you can to help those you can? Then the health management services, actually, in some states like Lagos State, for example, they have those that have relatively good service at almost rock bottom premiums that are available. So some state governments do things like that. Information is just what is lacking, and perhaps this that statement I made earlier about who you associate with. So if you have elderly ones and the likes, uh, just ask Google. I can bet you that you'll be amazed at the information, even NGOs and such benevolent services that are available. But what a lot of them lack is their public information systems are not robust enough. There are those who they are meant to even be serving are not aware that they exist as
hmm,
it. So my advocacy and advice will be more for those who provide such services to life goes beyond just those in the major cities of Nigeria or Africa, is to try and devolve means of going more into the interland. In my village, for example, I belong to a Ludun Development Forum that we're trying to resuscitate the health services that we have in the village. Because what used to be there has since run down simply because the equipment ran down. Our parents that used to fund those things are either dead or old. And unfortunately, there was not a good transition to the next generation. to follow through. So we raised an endowment fund, and we're trying to, we are aware that hospitals in America, London, Canada, they usually replenish some of those, their equipment and the likes, and they willingly just send what is still very usable relative to what we use here to such cottage hospitals and the likes, as it is. It's just for people to please do the bits they can. That's just what I always advocate, because if we complain how bad things are, yes, they are bad.
Yeah.
But can you start from where you are? Just start from where you are and do the bits that you can. And it's like throwing a piece of stone in the middle of a pond. It drops in, then it creates a ripple.
Yes.
So that's your singular act. Before you know it, somebody else sees it and picks on it and picks on it and picks on it. And then you'll find out you have touched a much wider group of people, rather than waiting till you have the capacity to transform all of Nigeria.
Wow. Wow. This is really great. I hope this is going to be my last question. I want to hear your thoughts on the talent hunt programs, because we're talking about talents, right?
Yeah.
Somebody can sit down in their room and discover, well, I think I can do this. All right. But then people need to know that they can do that. That's how they can make it profitable. So what's your thoughts on the talent hunt programs and things like that?
Another very good question, Dr. Famoyowa. My advice to people who have some of those kind of talent and are looking for how to help themselves is to take advantage of the social media space that is relatively free and goes worldwide, that is available now. And practically everybody has a phone through which you can connect. Put your content out there, but be patient. Be patient. Then secondly, try to follow people who are already ahead of you in that thing you want to do. Not following them to go and ask them for money or guidance, but a form of apprenticeship from a distance to just learn. Because what happens with a lot of these I have talent people is, yes, you have raw talent, but they're not patient. They want to be another David O. They want to be another Ronaldo. But if you just stay with Ronaldo, are you aware he wakes up every day like a 4:35 a.m. and first runs for 1 hour, then another 1 hour in the gym, just to come and play a football match that he may be on the field for? You are not aware of all of that. But you are, so a lot of people are like that. They just like, look at how long it's taking you to put this program together. As it is, I have dropped it now, but some of what I was sharing that looked so fluid and what have you, a few of it is on my iPad. So there's some preparation that had gone in, but many are not ready for that, and it's the microwave generation. So my advice is just keep showing up. If you have talent, keep showing up. Find how to be apprenticed and to learn from those in the field or career or wherever that talent is that are already ahead of you, and humble yourself to learn. Because some of them are also very arrogant with the talent that they have, even though there's nothing to show for it. Humble yourself to be guided. Then you can then sit on the shoulders of the giants ahead of you so you can see further.
Wow, wow. And that's why I like the quote from Stephen Keshi from your book that says that, well, even people don't believe in you, you have to work hard. And when you work hard, you started seeing results. Absolutely. Then people will be forced. And we saw who he was. Who he was when he was playing actively. Absolutely. So that's something that is, I think I should say we have come to the end now, but I want you to say something to our guest, whatever you feel like saying, final words, what you do, and if you have any program coming up, you want to say something about, whatever you're comfortable to say as we wrap up.
Basically, I think for the little time that is available, I'm just, it's already, my name is already on StreamYard, but I'm quite active on practically all social media handles, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all in the same name, Olusoji Oyawoye. And because I frequently have lots of free opportunities to coach or mentor and all of that. again, in recognition of the fact that not many people can afford to pay for the coaching services that I provide. So there's a lot of free as it is that you can tap into and have those benefits. But beyond that, you see, if you really want to exercise and use your gifts, you yourself must be a giver. Because what happens is a lot of people are just out there to see what they can get out of you and your time as it is. And there's something everybody can give. If it's, for example, you hear I'm having a free program, or rather I'm having a paid program, and you don't have all the money, oh, can you try to talk to me back end? Can you come and arrange the chairs? Can you come and provide some coordination support so that but you must be willing to give something. So that's my advice to you. Stop trying to just grab and grab. People who do that, even when you get here and there, you can't make any meaningful thing out of it. But givers, truly, givers never lack. So as you are seeking to get from people, find how to also be a giver and to invest first in the people you are getting from, and also in people that are also going to be benefiting from whatever you are learning and picking up. Thank you very much again for this privileged opportunity, Dr. Famuyiwa.
Wow, I have so much to think about. You blew away our mind today. I've written so many notes there. I'm gonna have to just think all through the weekend. Thank you so much. We appreciate your experience, your expertise. It's very important that you. How much can I pay for this kind of service? Thank you. Thank you for your time, your knowledge, and taking some time out. It's really something that I always appreciate. Thank you, our viewers, and this will be the end of our session. And we will see you next time, where we're going to be talking about the 9th episode. Thank you.